John McCain's camp, we turn to the senator who has spent most of his career backing Democrats for the White House.
I want Democrats to be back in the majority in Washington and elect a Democratic president in 2008.
And Senator Joe Lieberman joins us now. You're now an independent senator from Connecticut, but no one in your position has ever crossed over like this. You ran for vice president as a Democrat in 2000, ran for president as a Democrat in 2000. Now you are backing John McCain. What do you say to Democrats who say that that shows you've abandoned a lifetime of commitments?
Well, I say that the Democratic Party changed. The Democratic Party today is not the party it was in 2000. It's not the Bill Clinton, Al Gore party, which was strong internationalist, strong on defense, pro-trade, pro-reform in our domestic government. It's been effectively taken over by a small group on the left of the party that is protectionist, isolationist, and basically and very, very hyper-partisan. So it pains me. I'm a Democrat who came to the party in the era of President John F. Kennedy. It's a strange turn of the road when I find among the candidates running this year that the one, in my opinion, closest to the Kennedy legacy, the John F. Kennedy legacy, is John S. McCain, a reformer, somebody who understands, asks not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country, and remembers the other part of the Kennedy inaugural, which said that we will bear any burden, pay any price to assure the survival and sustenance of liberty. And that's John McCain.
And that's the issue of the war. But that's a big statement you've made, that the Democratic Party in just the last 7 years has made such a radical shift from 2000 to 2008.
George, look at the 2000 campaign. It's quite fascinating. Al Gore really was the strong on defense, internationalist, stand by America's ideals in the world candidate. George Bush was not talking about increasing the military budget. He was talking about a humble foreign policy. He was saying he didn't believe in essentially nation building in the interest of democracy and more stable allies around the world. And that's all flipped.
Well, wait, but you just heard Senator John Kerry talk about Barack Obama's most recent speech. He's saying, Senator Obama's saying, we have to do more in Afghanistan. He's saying we should be aggressive against al-Qaeda in Pakistan, and that's exactly what the administration's doing right now.
Well, that's great to hear, and I'm hopeful that when it comes to Afghanistan particularly, that we can have some bipartisan movement. But honestly, the Democratic candidates have spent most of their time attacking the war in Iraq. Now, I have a difference of opinion. That's their right to do that, but they've honestly not done anything substantial to advance our cause in Afghanistan or against al-Qaeda. And let me say something else. Iran is a threat to the peace of the world. Iranian Revolutionary Guards are training and equipping Shia extremists from Iraq to go back in and kill American soldiers. They have killed hundreds of American soldiers. It's an outrage. When I put
Senator Clinton voted for a resolution, as you did, to call that a terrorist group.
And I give her a lot of credit for that. That's the point I want to make. In our resolution, calling the IRGC, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, a terrorist group and urging the administration to impose economic sanctions against them, it's a no-brainer. These people are responsible for killing hundreds of American soldiers. Senator Obama voted against that. Now, to me, that was an irresponsible vote, and I give Senator Clinton credit. She voted for it.
So that would suggest that the differences aren't as great as you first said, but how about all of the other issues? Senator, you were against President Bush's tax cuts. Senator McCain is now saying they have to be permanent. You voted against Justice Alito for the Supreme Court. Senator McCain has said he and Justice Scalia are two of his models for the Supreme Court. You're against Social Security private accounts. Senator McCain says he's for them. Are you saying that the war in Iraq, these issues of national security, overwhelm all of these other issues?
No, I'm saying two things. First of all, as a matter of fact, George, John McCain is not for the private accounts to take the place of Social Security. He's for what Bill Clinton used to call Social Security Plus.
He disputed that in the Wall Street Journal this month, though.
Yeah, I think that's right. But there were two reasons why I support John McCain when I did in December, and I announced it, and I feel even more strongly about it today. One is we're a nation facing great challenges in the world, most immediately from Islamist extremism in the expression in the force of al-Qaeda, the other terrorist groups, and Iran. John McCain understands that and is ready to approach that problem with the combination of strength and building alliances that he talked about in his speech this week. He's also ready to be president as we face another chapter in our relations with the rest of the world, and that is the rise of great powers who we want to have peace with, but we will only really have peace with if we're strong. I'm talking about Russia and China particularly. But here's the second big reason I support John McCain. In my opinion, before we solve the problems that the American people need us to solve in Washington, healthcare, the economy, education, global warming, Social Security, fiscal imbalance, we have to solve a problem within a political system, which is hyper-partisanship, a mud fight. I don't care what's really good for the country. I care what's good for my party. That's outrageous. Of these three candidates, the one who has the clearest record of reaching across party lines, controversially sometimes, to solve a problem is John McCain. And I know he will be that kind of president. And I know because of that, he will win the support of a majority of independents and a lot of moderate Democrats who are sick and tired of the status quo in Washington, which is not solving their problems.
But if he comes in this year and wins in November, he's likely to bring in other members of Congress and senators who actually disagree with all these other domestic issues that you've had a record on for 25 years. Is going to make your agenda harder to achieve, isn't it?
Well, I don't agree with John McCain on everything, but I agree with him on the important things. And I agree with him on the number one challenge to our political system today. We've got to put the national interest ahead of partisan interest. We've got to forget the Democrat-Republican business and remember that we're all Americans. And unless we pull together, we're not going to get this country to where all of us want it to be. So I think this is going to be a very important election, maybe the most important in my lifetime. There's definitely a Democratic trend in the country. I understand that. Probably will be reflected in the votes for the House and the Senate. But when you come to president, you vote for the person. And I think toe-to-toe, experience to experience, national interest above all else, the guts to take on people in his own party if he disagrees with them, John McCain can and should win this election.
Can you name one other big issue aside from the war in Iraq, national security, where John McCain is closer to your view than the Democratic candidates?
Oh, I can. Well, he's had the guts to come out and join me on climate change. That's part of why we have a chance to pass climate change. You can't do it with one party. You got to do it with both. He actually stepped out and was much more forward-leaning on immigration reform than Barack Obama was. Senator Clinton wasn't involved in those negotiations. He worked on the Gang of 14, which saved us from having the filibuster removed, and I think at least created some grounds within which Supreme Court justice will be chosen. Hey, John McCain and I sponsored the lobbying and ethics reform bill. He was very active on that. We also sponsored the commission that created the 9/11 the legislation that created the 9/11 investigation commission, and then passed the legislation that they recommended, which has made America more secure. So we've got a lot of agreements. We've got some disagreements, but that's the nature of our politics. And this man is ready to lead this country forward.
Senator Lieberman, thanks very much. Take care of that cold.
Yeah, there's too much time on airplanes. Thanks, George.